Zenless Zone Zero has failed. And wait, before you click off the video, I know that's a pretty bold statement, but just hear me out for a second. Because in the eyes of Hoyoverse, Zenless Zone Zero is definitely somewhat of a failure compared to its past releases like Genshin and Honkai Stair. And you may be thinking, why am I calling Zenless Zone Zero a failure? I literally just made a video saying why it's the best game ever. But the answer is pretty simple. Zenless Zone Zero has only made $50 million since its release. And now you might be thinking, what? Is this guy acoustic? He said only $50 million. But yes, although $50 million is a lot of money, and I only have £9 in my bank account, but let me explain. The reason why Zenless Zone Zero making $50 million in its first 2 weeks is a joke is because during this same time period, Genshin Impact, which came out 4 years ago by now, made $90 million. And Honkai Star Rail, which came out a year ago, made $108 million in this time period. So now, with my insane math abilities, we can clearly see that 50 million is a lot less than 90 million and way less than 108 million. And since Zenless Zone Zero is Hoyoverse's latest game that they've spent years in the making for, I mean, their first trailer came out over 2 years ago. So yeah, this game's been in development for a while. And to make matters worse, Zenless Zone Zero's max spending in a day peaked on July 5th with 74 million in sales. And since then, the numbers only decreased and decreased, going lower and lower. And that's not a good sign for a gacha, since this game is free to play, remember, so they need you to spend money on their characters. But the internet has also had pretty big problems with the game's characters for obvious reasons. Cough cough, they're all children. Hoyoverse really needs some help. By simple logic, you'd think that Hoyoverse's latest games would make more and more money than the last. But Zenless Zone Zero has just been getting complaint after complaint on the internet, with people complaining the game's too easy, the characters are kinda weird, the story is pretty boring. But overall, China was responsible for 47% of the game's earnings, and Japan made up the next 27%, and the US followed through as third overall. But for some reason, this game is doing a lot better in the East than it is doing in the West. So in the West, this game has just been faced with backlash after backlash. So many people are making YouTube videos saying why they hate the game, why they're going back to Genshin. No one really likes this game. Personally, I don't really see any issues with it. I've actually been really enjoying it. And if you want to know my full thoughts, I made a full review kinda on why I think Zenless Zone Zero is the best gacha ever made. And you should probably go watch that.